Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be responding to the comments on my pro-life video. About a month ago, I posted a video on my channel called If You Care About Women, Be Pro-Life. And on that video, a lot of you left lovely comments. A lot of you guys felt the same way that I do about this issue and are really concerned for the unborn. And that was a wonderful thing to see, that there is a community of people on YouTube who are pro-life, who are concerned for the unborn. But of course, doing a pro-life video on the internet, on YouTube, is also going to attract a lot of people who disagree with you. And many people in the comments left both sassy comments that were not as well thought out, and also those kinds of comments where they were addressing some legitimate concerns. And today I wanted to respond to those comments, some sassy ones and some straightforward ones. Some of them will be a little bit more funny and others will be taken a little bit more seriously. So let's get into it. Here's the first comment. That's crazy, but I don't remember asking. People who write comments like this, my question is, you clicked on my video. There are a lot of videos on YouTube, and you didn't have to click on it if you didn't want to, but you chose to, so you're here. And for those of you who are going to say that you saw an ad in your feed, when you see an ad for Tide, you don't jump into the comments on their videos and say, well, I use Shout, and I don't want to see your Tide ads in my feed. You chose to be here. I don't want kids like ever, but if I were to get pregnant right now, I'd probably get an abortion with no hesitation. So just to be clear very quickly, it does say I don't want kids like ever, but if I were to get pregnant right now, it seems to me that you might get an abortion at any time that you got pregnant if you don't ever want kids. But in any case, she continues, stop telling others what to do with their bodies. So for this style of argument, the argument of don't tell others what to do with their bodies, we do that already, all the time, in the sense of we tell people not to steal. We tell people not to commit murders. We tell people not to do things that affect other people. And so when you are pregnant and you want to abort your child, you are doing something that is affecting another person, the infant within you. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt you in any way. Again, this is the kind of argument that we can talk about with a lot of different things. It doesn't hurt me directly when somebody steals from a store down the block. It doesn't hurt me directly when somebody gets murdered 3 states away. But that doesn't mean that you should be able to do it. You've probably been in the presence of several women who have had abortions and you literally didn't notice. That's how little it affects everyone else. This argument doesn't make a lot of sense to me because theoretically, you could walk past a murderer down the street, a thief, a drug dealer, and not know that they commit these crimes. So does that mean that they didn't commit them? That it doesn't affect everyone else? No, it just means that I don't know that they did that. Now, as I talked about in my pro-life video, I don't look at women who have had abortions as criminals. I don't think that they did something knowingly. I think that there was a narrative sold to them that they should be having an abortion, that they should be taking control of their own life. And people who get abortions often make that decision with a misunderstanding of that morality. And so that's why I say, of course, after you've had an abortion, if you have learned that that was a mistake, you are welcome to join the pro-life movement. We are here with open arms. You're as much a victim as anyone else, and we are glad to have you on our side of the fight. I will forever be pro-choice because pro-choice is pro-woman. You can't be pro-woman if you're not pro-women in the womb. Why does being pro-women only apply to the women who are hurting others, including their own daughters? The next comment starts, I'm pro-choice. A mother has every right on what to do with her body. If these women, I think that's a typo, care so much, why don't they adopt kids that are homeless, hungry, and in and out of foster homes? So this is a false dichotomy that is very often brought up by people on the pro-choice side of the argument. And the idea is that if you care about not murdering babies, then you must also adopt every child that is born and is put into foster care. That doesn't really make sense. If you don't want people to get murdered in America, does that mean that you then have to become a police officer? No. As the people who aren't police officers, we can support law enforcement and just do the basic thing of standing against murder. And outside of that, religious pro-life people predominantly Christians, adopt at higher rates than anybody else. So we are trying to do our best to provide good lives for the children that we save. But not every person who is pro-life is in a position to adopt a child, but they still don't believe that murder should be the best alternative. So, of course, they're going to support children being born, even if they're not in a position to adopt that child. And of course, they're still going to defend that child's right to life. Okay, but like, what if a woman gets raped and gets pregnant? She shouldn't have to put herself through that. It's the woman's choice. Get off my recommended. First and foremost, I'm in your recommended because you clicked on my videos. So there's that. Of course, with a woman who does get raped and gets pregnant, this is a hard topic and a hard part of the debate, but I do want to address it. So a couple of things. One, the percentage of women who get abortions because they were raped is 0.5%. It's 0.5%. So it does not make up anywhere near the majority of abortions that women get. That's number one. Number two is that if a woman does get raped, it's a horrible thing that happened. The man should get the worst possible punishment. And women who get raped it's a horrible thing that's happened to them. The fact is that it's not the baby's fault. And we cannot blame the child for how it was brought into this world. The wages of sin of the baby's father are not paid out by the baby's life. Yes, this is a really hard situation, and mothers who go through this, it's not something I could ever imagine, but it is something that we do need to talk about and to address. The difference between pro-choice and pro-lifers is that pro-choice people don't force their beliefs or decisions on others. That is precisely what you're doing when you put that belief on the baby within your womb and decide to kill it. That is putting your choice, your belief, your decision on someone else. I understand that you have a stable financial and home life that allows you to take care of your mistake of a child. You calling my future children a mistake, or anyone a mistake for that matter, tells me that you do not take this topic very seriously. Because you don't take human life very seriously. But not all of us do, Karen. I've been called a Karen before. We call ourselves pro-choice for a reason, not pro-abortion. Yeah, because pro-abortion doesn't have the same ring to it as pro-choice. But also, let's talk about this very quickly. If you saw the movie Unplanned about Abby Johnson, she worked with Planned Parenthood. And in Planned Parenthood's financial structure, they did try to encourage women to have abortions because it was important for the way that they ran. They needed the money that abortions brought in. So Planned Parenthood is putting their views on other people, is encouraging people to get abortions, is encouraging abortion as part of its business model. And if you've read the other comments on this video, you'll see that people are encouraging other people to have abortions and don't think that having a child is good for them or anyone else. Children literally do steal our freedom. I'm not having a child until I want to, okay? Smiley face. This is what I was just saying about people actively thinking that having children is bad. They actively think that a child is literally stealing your freedom. So number one, I would say that a lot of people would not agree with that statement. They would not say that having a child literally steals their freedom. But if literally stealing your freedom is the baseline for murder, then let's start with the person who wrote this comment. You are your parents' child. At what point do your parents not have the right to kill you since you stole their freedom? If you have a family member who gets injured, do you have the right to kill them because you have to take care of them? When is it not justified to murder someone who limits your freedom? You can see that this argument lacks a sufficient limiting principle. Who's going to tell her that when a baby is in the mother, it is not a separate life form? It is like fruit on a tree. It must stay connected until strong enough. There's a few issues with this argument. Number one is that babies, even when they're born, still need you to nurture them. A baby can't survive right after it's born. A baby can't survive till it's 8, 10, 16. We could run an experiment and see who would survive in the woods left alone. Maybe even if you're 30, you're not going to do it. So who knows? But we're definitely not self-sufficient after we're born. So what is the difference between a baby in the womb who depends on its mother and a baby right after it's born who depends on its mother? As far as saying that a baby is not a separate life form when it's in the mother, that is a whole other can of worms. Number one is, a baby has a separate genetic makeup from its mother. A mother and her child have distinct genetic codes, and so if a woman is pregnant with a baby boy, the baby boy obviously has an XY chromosome. She has XX chromosomes. By this logic, a mother carrying her son would be a hermaphrodite because she has female genitalia and her son has male genitalia, and they are one life form. That doesn't make much sense, does it? According to this, a baby is like a fruit on a tree. It must stay connected until strong enough. So let's think about this scenario. A baby that is born prematurely, that has access to medical care that would allow it to survive, is strong enough to survive outside of the womb and is a baby. A baby that is born prematurely and doesn't have access to that, is that not a baby at the same time? They were born at the same point in the pregnancy. One had access to medical care, one didn't. And only one of those children is considered a baby and is considered a life? Or is neither of them because they couldn't survive without the access to medical care? In which case, we're returning back to the original point, which is that no baby can survive even when it's born 9 months full term without its mother. There are a lot of issues with these arguments that have a lot to do with timeline when you try and decide when life begins outside of conception, and your idea of when humanity happens becomes arbitrary and very deadly. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's drive-thru. Ma'am, this is my YouTube channel. To those arguing that women shouldn't have sex if they don't want kids, keep that same energy with men. I do. And I think a lot of us feel the same way. Men, stop sleeping around, use protection if you're going to, and even if you're going to use protection, don't sleep with a woman who you don't want to be the mother of your children. And only have sex with your wife, because then you're guaranteed a strong family structure when that baby comes into the world. I don't think men should be sleeping around at all. I don't think women should be sleeping around at all. If you've seen some of my videos, you would probably know that. I speak primarily to women about this on my channel because I'm a woman and I can talk about this directly with my own experience. But the same absolutely applies to men, and I will be doing some videos about that on my channel too. I'm pro-choice, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go and have an abortion. Good! Yay! I love to hear that. It just means that I'm not going to stop or judge people because they do. If you think this is about judgment, you don't understand what we're doing here. It's not about judging women who have had abortions. It's about fighting to stop a bad thing. It's about fighting to protect unborn children's lives. I'm not here to judge people. I'm here to stop a bad thing from happening. I don't think you have to be a bad person to have done a bad thing that had bad consequences. I think that people are victims of a narrative here. It's like standing on the top of the Empire State Building, someone handing you a penny and saying, hey, drop this off the edge, it'll be fine. You do, and you don't realize that that penny could drop and kill someone. You weren't told that that could happen. You were told it would be fine. It happened, someone got hurt. It's not your fault in the traditional sense, but we just want to make sure it doesn't happen again. You saying that you're pro-choice, but you wouldn't have an abortion yourself, is like saying that you're pro-murder, but you wouldn't murder somebody else. I'm glad that you won't commit murder yourself, but we have to have rules and laws in place that prevent murder from happening overall. Some people need abortions because they were either raped and it would be traumatic, or because of health reasons. This doesn't mean they're bad people. It means that instead of having a child and possibly neglecting it and having it grow up unloved, it means that they are being considerate to not only that child, but to their bodies and their mental health. So this kind of argument is made on the pro-choice side pretty frequently. The idea that a baby shouldn't be born into bad circumstances. We don't get to choose somebody's quality of life for them. We don't get to see someone else's suffering and decide that it's too much and that we should end their life. And if the people in bad circumstances really did think that life wasn't worth living, we would see higher death rates, higher suicides in poor communities, but we don't. These people don't think that they should end their lives because they're in bad circumstances. Why do you get to make that decision for a child? No one gets to decide that a child's life isn't worth living because of the circumstances that it's born into. Every child's life is worth saving. I'm glad I had an opportunity to go through the comments that were left on my pro-life video. Of course, there were so many that I couldn't go through all of them, but these were just a few of the ones that I selected to respond to. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought, what your responses are like. I'd love to hear. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and blog if you haven't already. Head over to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Hit that notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Hit that like button. Please head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!